OPEC Plus, the international oil cartel, just decided to cut production of oil by 2 million barrels per day. This comes at a time right before US elections and right at a time when oil prices were starting to fall, meaning that Russia's income from being able to sell oil and continue its war was also starting to fall. And the United States of America politicians lost their minds about it, saying crazy things like, oh, this is an act of war. We're going to stop providing military support and protection for you, Saudi Arabia. And oh, this is going to contribute to Russia gaining more income. You think? Maybe if the government hadn't gotten in the way of increasing energy production, we wouldn't be in this predicament. Ready? Let's dive in. So the United States is terrified right now, or I should say the political ruling class is terrified right now because OPEC Plus just decided to cut oil production by 2 million barrels per day. Now, because of this, Brent crude is up at about $98 per barrel at this point, a big spike from the bottom that it reached a few weeks ago. Now, the White House released a statement saying they were deeply disappointed by this decision because it is short-sighted, given the fact that the world is dealing with negative impacts of Putin's invasion of Ukraine. A correction here would be that the world is dealing with the negative impacts of the sanctions on Russia as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In response, it looks like they're going to try and drain the strategic petroleum reserves even more by releasing another 10 million barrels next month. Really what's going on here is they're just concerned about the timing of this given midterms coming up very soon here. So because of that, the Biden administration is going to consult with Congress on tools and authorities to reduce OPEC's control over energy prices. Now, if there's one thing that the United States government is great at, and it might even be the best at this, it's coming up with great acronyms for its bills. Enter NOPEC. That's right, NOPEC is the No Oil Producing and Exporting Cartels bill designed to protect U.S. consumers and businesses from artificial oil spikes. Now, yes, this has to be passed through the Senate, and then yes, it has to be passed through the House, and then yes, it has to be signed into law by President Biden, but this is probably going to solve the problem very quick. Because legislation is always the answer to making prices do whatever you want. It has nothing to do with supply and demand. And regarding oil, it has nothing to do with the fact that we've spent the last few decades making it harder and harder and harder, both from a regulatory standpoint and from a tax standpoint, to make energy more abundant in the United States. Now, to top it all off, we've got a fantastic tweet from Senator Bernie Sanders. He said, "We must end OPEC's illegal price-fixing cartel." Well, first of all, there's no international one world government. So to call this illegal is misleading. There is no lawmaker making laws about international exchange. There are agreements, but ultimately there are no laws that govern relationships between countries that are themselves sovereign states. Second of all, if you really wanted to end OPEC's control over oil prices, maybe you should increase the ability of domestic producers of oil to produce more to take advantage of the higher prices, therefore bring prices down by increasing supply, instead of pushing regulations to make it harder for oil producers to make more oil by passing more and more and more laws to push our energy into green or unreliable energy, which is what he suggests at the end of this tweet to move aggressively to renewable energy, which is the reason why the United States doesn't have more control over the energy market worldwide. Now, I gotta give him credit where credit is due. He said we need to eliminate military assistance to Saudi Arabia. He stated that the Crown Prince ordered the murder of a Washington Post columnist with a bone saw. There's a disastrous war in Yemen that led to the deaths of 377,000 people and a humanitarian crisis, and it's siding with Russia to damage our economy. Our military support for Saudi Arabia must end. 100% agree. But the only reason that politicians and media pundits right now are calling for this is not because of the terrible things this country has done. It's because it is now hurting them politically. This didn't happen yesterday. These things have been going on for decades. And now that gas prices are going to go up before elections and risk you not getting elected, now suddenly you care about the humanitarian crises and endless wars. And the fact is, this is a move that will help Russia, because OPEC Plus is all cutting oil, in total 2 million barrels a day. But on Thursday, the Kremlin stated that the cuts were aimed at market stabilization, meaning that Russia won't have to cut anything. It's positive news for Russian oil, which will benefit from both the higher prices and being able to keep output steady. Now, just for a brief primer on why this is such a big deal, it's because oil and fossil fuels, petroleum, it's not something that just hits people at the gas pump. This is something that is literally woven into the fabric of our entire economy, society, commerce, living. It's not something that's just hitting people at the gas pump. Take a look at this list from the Rankin Energy Corporation. This is a partial list of products that are made from petroleum. They're going to show 144 here out of 6,000 items. 142-gallon barrel of oil creates 19 gallons of gasoline, and the rest, which is more than half, is used to make things like this: ink, dresses, curtains, skis, roofing, car battery cases, caulking, golf bags, purses, shag rugs, fertilizers, hair coloring, linings, shoe polish, football cleats. Not to mention that all of these things are made of little parts that are byproducts or results of petroleum, and every single one of those has to be manufactured using fossil fuel energy and then transported using fossil fuel energy. This is just scratching the surface of how integral oil prices are to everything else. So yes, OPEC has some severe control over oil prices. And no, the push for creating a few more solar panels off of the slave labor of the Uyghurs in China is not going to make a difference on the global economy or on energy independence for the United States. It's supply and demand. If you don't like OPEC's control, NOPEC is not the answer. Get out of our way and let us, the free market, solve this problem ourselves. As always, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.